Alright, good evening ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back for what is going to be Wave.XIL's final game in the JDL Season 3. They're going up against Kill to Death, led by the actually pretty famous AC. I'm not going to make a fuss about that though. Both teams been very polite trying to get this time sorted out, and it's been a little bit of a hassle I think for both of them. Just having a look at I've just changed my setup, so it's quite red. Having a look at where both teams are in the JDL at the moment. This match isn't too important for Wave.XIL. They have stomped. They've done really well. 12 wins, 2 losses at the moment. And they're happy. They're going to Division 5 no matter what happens, and they're in second place no matter what happens. For Kill to Death, it's a little bit more important actually. For them, they're looking at a situation where if they get 2 wins here, then they can go to the Division 5 playoffs. If they can't, or even if they get 1-1, they've got a chance of going to the Division 5 playoffs. If they can't, if they lose twice, then sadly for them, they're going back into the starter division for JDL Season 4. And yeah, I've been a captain myself now for how many seasons is that? Well, all 3. And you want to be moving up in divisions. It's a bit of a oof to end up just staying flat. So fingers crossed for Kill to Death at least that they can pull off a double victory here. But Wave.XIL do have the history. XIL's mainly fearing the kind of split push here, obviously banning out Nature's Prophet and Tinkers, both renowned for just appearing all over the map and pushing all the lanes. I have a feeling XIL will also having a look at AC's profile, most played heroes, because I'm pretty sure that's Nature's Prophet. Kill to Death mainly seemed to ban out team fight heroes. They wanted to ban out the Death Prophet as well. I think that was probably in response to the obvious aversion that XIL have to push. And choosing to pick up Faceless Void and Lycan. Now, that's a bit suspect, I think, as the first 2 picks, just because 2 melee cores, okay, fair enough, not undoable. But Lycan almost always played safe lane. Faceless Void can go off lane. I'm worried that either they're going to have to, given that both of these heroes are generally safe lane farmers, even though Void can off lane, I'm worried that they're either going to run into the problem of not having anywhere to farm up enough, or just being very predictable. Like, if I were Davidy right now, I would be thinking to myself, right, we can go for a defensive tri-lane, and we're probably going to be facing a Faceless Void, and we can absolutely destroy him. We won't even struggle. So that's a thing. Davidy picking up Doom, that will be going to Umag, pretty much guaranteed. Davidy himself will be playing the Viper, and he loves that hero. Anybody who watches my casts, and I've done a few XIL games, knows how much Davidy loves his Viper, and he tends to win with it as well, and also lose when he plays against it. Viper's a very strong hero in the meta at the moment for this particular skill bracket. Kill to Death going for the Dazzle ban. I'm personally not hugely in favour of that, because what XIL need right now is a lot more lockdown. That's the one thing they're really missing. Umag, far as I know, does have a tendency to go for the, at least in the early game, go for the central stomp build on Doom. Maybe picking up a blink as well. I tend to be a bit more of a position 1, even if I'm in the offlane Doom, but that's my bad. But Dazzle would have been a bit of a, I don't know, bit of an iffy pick. Is a great counter to the Faceless Void though, obviously. Faceless Void goes in, starts bashing away at your position 1. If the other team has a Dazzle, then they can just shallow grave whoever Faceless Void is hitting, so it's not a bad ban out at all. Davidy now choosing to ban Silencer, which is a very good ban in terms of countering the Viper, and could fit fairly well with the Kill to Death lineup, I suppose. I mean, Kill to Death are basically going to be looking to avoid fights for like 90% of the game, but at the 10% when they want to fight, they are going to want to rush in and just absolutely dominate, because they're going to have Chrono, they're going to have Lycan's ult up for a limited time, and they're going to have Ravage. XILs have actually got really decent heroes for just kind of more consistent spamming of abilities, whether it's early, mid game, or late. Skywrath Mage, notable spammer. Doom, okay, his ult is a biggie, but his actual presence in a team fight can be fairly general, just with Scorched Earth, Level Death, and his amazing stats and whatever he steals from the creeps. Kill to Death now going for the Jakiro. I mean, I've got to say, they have got the lockdown that I would want on my team. They've managed to get the ridiculous combo of Faceless Void and Tidehunter. I think XILs didn't ban that just on the basis that the Silencer would have been a real hassle for the Viper, and Shadow Shaman can have more of a general presence. But they have allowed Killed to Death to get not only a Faceless Void, but also an offlane Dyed Sire Tide Hunter, which is huge because on Dire, Tide can always just farm the Ancients. Wave.XIL is picking up the Wraith King. This is something that Divok first turned me onto. Wraith King is great against hard team fights competitions. Just absolutely amazing, particularly ones which are dependent on big CC ults to start them off, like anything involving Faceless Void or Tide Hunter. Quite simply because he comes back. You know, you go in, you ravage, you drop your Jakiro on him, Lycan pops his ult on half the cooldown's gone, pop Chrono, and then he's just back. Let alone if you pick up the Aegis, let alone if you do anything smart like that. It is going to be really tough. Doom, incredibly tanky hero as well. Viper, very hard to kill. Skywrath Mage, I'm actually re-looking at these lanes. It's a bit hard to predict, even though I know these guys very well. It's a bit hard to predict how they're going to be laning this. Just because David will be on the Viper, that's for sure. Umag is a Don on the Doom and the Skywrath Mage. That's what's confusing me at the moment. Blue Slice and Alan are both generally mids, I think, when they sub in for XIL. One of them's going to have to play support this game, unless David he does, but it's tricky. Final bans, Witch Doctor and Ember Spirit. Oh, and the Mirana. Mirana would have been actually very nice for XIL. It's just an absolutely amazing way of getting in, making sure you've got the invis up, and then you can Doom just straight off the bat. Faceless Void cannot farm in his jungle if there's always a threat of just a totally invisible Doom turning up, dooming him, and then murdering him. Killed to Death picking up a Juggernaut. This is madness. 3 really hard melee carries. Lycan, I can only assume is going to be jungling. Juggernaut mid? Is that what I'm seeing here? I mean, I don't really like it, I gotta say. It works fairly well against the Viper, I suppose, just in theory. I've never seen it. Healing Ward would be quite nice for keeping your health up. Viper obviously doing better the lower your health gets, but this is weird. It's a real death ball strategy. And the lanes are going to be very hard to predict. Davidy going to be using up some of his time now to think his way through this and think about what he wants to do. I'm almost certain it's going to be a Viper position 1. That's how Davidy likes to play him. So they're probably going to be picking up a mid here. And I'm just going to quickly do a couple of things. This is what we call curating, ladies and gentlemen. Curating. I'm curating my business interests. Nah, not really. Just making a couple of announcements now that I can see that the stream has officially caught up. Okay, that doesn't want to work. That's wonderful. David, he's still thinking his way through the final pick. It's going to be tense, ladies and gentlemen. They really want a bit more lockdown. That's the one thing I'm going to say. And lockdown mids, often slightly tricky to run. Kunkka is a great one, but you've really got to have... I speak as a Kunkka player. You've really got to know your stuff if you're going to play Kunkka well. And really you want other stuns to kind of set up for Torrent. I'm really curious, actually. What are they going to go? This is much mystery. Okay, my previous announcement does not seem to have gone through. I'll just have to skip that for this one then. Right down to the wire, and they pick up the Invoker. That, I think, is sufficient. No exactly direct stuns, but enough stuff that can do things like interrupt TPs, and you know, the classic EMP Tornado combo does effectively CC, because in addition to displacing people, holding them still for whatever else you want to set up, it also just totally drains their mana. So even though it's not really crowd control in the kind of lockdown sense, it's crowd control in the, well, what you gonna do sense. So Yappa will be taking what I'm 100% sure is a support Wraith King. David will be taking the position 1 Viper. We do always get a little bit of lag here as people pick up their heroes. It's annoying as hell, but there you go. And I'm going to introduce the teams, and doesn't even look, and this is really rare, like we're even going to have any kind of mess at the beginning. Alright, so first of all, looking over in the Kill to Death squad, I like their flag, by the way. On the Jakiro, we have AC. On the yeah, this is annoying. On the Juggernaut, we have Legless Puppy. On the Lycan, we have Dig. On Tide Hunter, nice octopus hat, we have Code. I think that's Code Walker. And on the Faceless Void, if I can find him, we have Lecter. And down on the Wave side, we've got Davidy taking the Viper, Yapplejack taking the Wraith King, Umag on the Skyrath. Looks like they're actually going to be going aggressive try, and I'm going to hold off on my introductions just for a second because we might well have a bit of first blood action here. And if we do, Wave.XIL are going to find themselves horribly, horribly outnumbered. They've seen the tide. They think they can go on this. Oh, the stun is thrown. They really don't want to. They need to get back. They don't, there's so many of them there. Killed to death, I'm assuming, just expecting that Wave are going 5-man as well, which is probably a reasonable assumption. And Wave certainly do have very terrifying early game. Ooh, look at those wards. Just out of range. Oh, no, apparently they're not. Really? I am very surprised. Oh, I see. Another D ward had gone down there. Well played there by the defensive tri lane for kill to death. They're going to need that. They're going to need those calls in order to deny anything really to this Doom. Lycan doing an excellent job blocking the creep wave with his wolves. Let's get the last hits denies up. That's what people care about in the early game. And it is going to be a little while, it seems, before anything hugely interesting happens. So let's have a look at these kill to death lanes, because that's what I was really interested to find out. It is going to be a Jug safe lane carry supported by the Tide and the Jakiro. Mid, we're going to see Lycan. Mid Lycan, it is played often. I'm personally not a huge fan. I don't know. It just doesn't seem to fit my picture of Lycan. It's playing him a bit like a Death Prophet. Down on bot lane, Faceless Void going up against Doom. I think this should be great for Doom. This should be amazing. If I were Umag, I would probably be spamming Scorched Earth and Devour pretty much constantly. It looks like he hasn't cast either of them all game, and I think that's a huge mistake. If you go for the Magic Stick, probably wasn't going to be useful here, but they maybe expected an aggro try. But if you just go for Ring of Bazzi, pretty much immediate pickup, you're basically guaranteed to. You can pretty much spam Scorched Earth and Devour. You maybe occasionally have to wait for a few seconds. And I can appreciate his maybe wanting to save Devour for this kind of thing. Try and get a decent pickup in the woods, which he's not going to do, unfortunately. That's really not very good pickups for him. Actually, Blue Slice on the Doom. Sacre bleu. I do apologize. I think I've been calling you Umag. But even if you're saving the Devour to go into the jungle, you can still Scorched Earth. And when you're up against a melee evasion-based hero like Void, Scorched Earth is amazing. I do completely agree with Blue's choice here to level Scorched Earth primarily over Devour. Because that's just going to be what can keep him out of lane. Oh, and I missed First Blood. David E. Stevenson killing the opposing captain in AC. And that's only a support kill, but that First Blood gold is going to be really, really useful for David E. And that's the other thing. Getting a nice D ward like they did up on top. Oh, lag for the Jakiro. That's unfortunate. But getting a nice D ward like they did up on top is really useful if you're up against a solo off lane. If you're up against an aggressive tri lane like this, it's not too useful. You're not going to be pulling anyway, because if you start pulling your lanes, then you're going to get dove. Because the enemy creep wave is just going to march straight under your tower, soak up all the tower hits, and the enemy heroes can just follow them. So it's risky business. At the moment, looks like okay. The two biggest cores on the KTD sides have got equal farm with the Invoker, but the overall spread definitely favouring Wave.